Question 1. What year did the Battle of Hastings take place, and who became king as a result? A. 1045, King Edward III. B. 1066, King Harold II. C. 1066, King William I. D. 1088, King Richard I. Answer: C. 1066, King William I. The Battle of Hastings took place in 1066, and William the Conqueror, also known as King William I, became king as a result. Question 2. Describe the main purpose of the Magna Carta signed in 1215. A. To introduce the concept of a parliamentary system. B. To limit the powers of the king and protect the rights of nobles. C. To establish the Church of England. D. To abolish the feudal system. Answer: B. To limit the powers of the king and protect the rights of nobles. The Magna Carta was signed in 1215 to limit the powers of the king and ensure certain rights for the nobles, setting a precedent for future legal systems. Question 3. Who was the British monarch during the establishment of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland in 1801? A. King George III. B. Queen Victoria. C. King Henry VIII. D. Queen Elizabeth I. Answer: A. King George III. King George III was the monarch during the establishment of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland in 1801. Question 4. Explain the significance of the Great Reform Act of 1832. A. It granted voting rights to all men over the age of 21. B. It abolished the slave trade throughout the British Empire. C. It reformed the British electoral system by redistributing seats in the House of Commons. D. It established the National Health Service. Answer: C. It reformed the British electoral system by redistributing seats in the House of Commons. The Great Reform Act of 1832 was significant for reforming the electoral system, making it more representative. Question 5. What were the main causes and outcomes of the English Civil War? A. Religious conflicts and the establishment of a monarchy. B. Political power struggles and the execution of Charles I. C. Economic disparities and the introduction of the feudal system. D. Territorial disputes and the signing of the Magna Carta. Answer: B. Political power struggles and the execution of Charles I. The English Civil War was primarily caused by political power struggles between the monarchy and Parliament, leading to the execution of King Charles I. Question 6. Detail the contributions of Britain to the Industrial Revolution, particularly in the textile industry. A. Invention of the steam engine and expansion of the railway network. B. Development of iron smelting techniques and shipbuilding. C. Invention of the spinning jenny and the power loom. D. Establishment of the British East India Company. Answer: C. Invention of the spinning jenny and the power loom. Britain's significant contributions to the Industrial Revolution in the textile industry include the invention of the spinning jenny and the power loom. Question 7. Who was Emmeline Pankhurst and what movement did she lead? A. A British novelist who initiated the Romanticism movement. B. A social reformer who led the abolitionist movement. C. A political activist who led the women's suffrage movement. D. An educator who pioneered public education reforms. Answer: C. A political activist who led the women's suffrage movement. Emmeline Pankhurst was a prominent political activist who led the women's suffrage movement in the UK. Question 8. During World War II, what was the purpose of the evacuations and which groups were primarily affected? A. To evacuate soldiers from the battlefields, soldiers and military personnel. B. To protect people from aerial bombings, children and mothers. C. To relocate factories to safer areas, industrial workers. D. To provide medical aid to war-torn regions, doctors and nurses. Answer: B. To protect people from aerial bombings, children and mothers. The evacuations during World War II aimed to protect civilians, particularly children and mothers, from aerial bombings by moving them to safer rural areas. Question 9. Explain the historical context and outcome of the Suez Crisis of 1956. A. A conflict over the nationalisation of the Suez Canal, leading to a brief war and eventual withdrawal of British troops. B. A dispute over the control of oil supplies, resulting in increased oil prices and economic sanctions. C. A political standoff about the colonization of Egypt, ending with the independence of Egypt. D. A military operation to defend the British Empire's territories, culminating in a significant expansion. Answer: A. A conflict over the nationalisation of the Suez Canal, leading to a brief war and eventual withdrawal of British troops. The Suez Crisis in 1956 was triggered by Egypt's nationalisation of the Suez Canal, leading to military intervention by Britain, France, and Israel, and resulting in a political setback for Britain and troop withdrawal. Question 10. What was the Windrush generation, and why is it significant in British history? A. Migrants who came to the UK in the late 1940s from the Caribbean to help rebuild after World War II. B. A group of intellectuals from the Americas who influenced British arts in the 1920s. C. Soldiers from former British colonies who settled in the UK after World War I. D. Diplomats involved in the establishment of the Commonwealth. Answer: A. Migrants who came to the UK in the late 1940s from the Caribbean to help rebuild after World War II. The Windrush generation refers to Caribbean migrants who arrived on the ship HMMT Empire Windrush in 1948, significantly contributing to the reconstruction of post-war Britain. Question 11. Describe the main changes brought about by the welfare state reforms after World War II. A. Introduction of free healthcare through the National Health Service. B. Expansion of the British Empire. C. Reduction of trade barriers within the Commonwealth. D. Strengthening of the monarchical system. Answer: A. Introduction of free healthcare through the National Health Service. The welfare state reforms after World War II were significant for introducing widespread social safety nets, including free healthcare through the National Health Service. Question 12. What role did the Magna Carta play in the development of the British parliamentary system? A. It established the first parliament at Westminster. B. It served as a declaration of independence from feudal lords. C. It laid foundational principles for legal and political representation. D. It restricted the rights of citizens and increased the power of the monarchy. Answer: C. It laid foundational principles for legal and political representation. The Magna Carta, signed in 1215, played a crucial role in laying down the principles that would eventually help develop the British parliamentary system by asserting the need for royal authority to be curbed by law and agreed upon by the realm. Question 13. Identify the major social and economic impacts of the Black Death in 14th century Britain. A. Introduction of the feudal system and decline of the monarchy. B. Major population reduction and significant shifts in economic power from the nobility to the common people. C. Expansion of the British Empire and colonization efforts. D. Establishment of the Church of England. Answer: B. major population reduction and significant shifts in economic power from the nobility to the common people. The Black Death had a profound impact in 14th century Britain, drastically reducing the population and leading to significant social and economic changes, including shifts in power from the nobility to more empowered common people due to labour shortages. Question 14. How did the Glorious Revolution of 1688 change the political landscape of England? A. It reinforced the power of the monarchy. B. It led to the establishment of absolute monarchy. C. It confirmed the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy. D. It resulted in the union between England and Scotland. Answer. C. It confirmed the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 was pivotal in changing the political landscape of England by confirming the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy, leading to a constitutional monarchy where the monarch's powers were limited by law and Parliament. Question 15. Who were the Chartists and what were their main demands? A. A group of writers and poets asking for freedom of expression. B. Political reformers who demanded changes such as universal male suffrage and secret ballots. C. Economic reformers focusing on the abolition of the Corn Laws. D. Religious reformers seeking the establishment of the Church of England. Answer. B. Political reformers who demanded changes such as universal male suffrage and secret ballots. The Chartists were a significant social movement in 19th century Britain, advocating for political reforms to make the political system more democratic, including demands for universal male suffrage and the use of secret ballots. Question 16. Describe the significance of the Battle of Britain in 1940. A. It marked the beginning of the British Empire's expansion. B. It was a crucial victory in aerial combat that helped prevent a German invasion. C. It resulted in Britain adopting a policy of appeasement towards Germany. D. It led to the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. Answer. B. It was a crucial victory in aerial combat that helped prevent a German invasion. The Battle of Britain in 1940 was significant as it was a major victory for Britain's Royal Air Force, which successfully repelled large-scale aerial attacks by the German Luftwaffe, crucially preventing a planned invasion. Question 17. What was the Beveridge Report and how did it influence British social policy? A. A document outlining the defence strategies during World War II. B. A report that led to the establishment of the welfare state by recommending comprehensive social insurance. C. A financial report that introduced the gold standard in the British economy. D. A political treatise on the governance of the British colonies. Answer. B. A report that led to the establishment of the welfare state by recommending comprehensive social insurance. The Beveridge Report, published during World War II, was instrumental in shaping post-war social policy in Britain by outlining the need for comprehensive social insurance against sickness, unemployment and old age, leading to the creation of the welfare state. Question 18. Explain the origins and outcomes of the Falklands War in 1982. A. A conflict between the UK and Argentina over oil exploration rights in the North Sea. B. A territorial dispute between the UK and France over the Channel Islands. C. A war between the UK and Argentina over the sovereignty of the Falkland Islands. D. A diplomatic conflict between the UK and the United States over trade agreements. Answer. C. A war between the UK and Argentina over the sovereignty of the Falkland Islands. The Falklands War in 1982 originated from a long-standing sovereignty dispute between the UK and Argentina over the Falkland Islands, resulting in a brief but intense conflict that ended with the British military reclaiming the islands. Question 19. Detail the contributions of Sir Winston Churchill during his time as Prime Minister. A. He led the UK through the decolonization of Africa. B. He was instrumental in founding the European Union. C. He led Britain through World War II and played a key role in the Allied victory. D. He introduced significant healthcare reforms within the UK. Answer. C. He led Britain through World War II and played a key role in the Allied victory. Sir Winston Churchill is best known for his leadership during World War II, where his steadfast resolve and eloquent speeches helped bolster British morale and played a crucial role in the Allied forces' victory. Question 20. What is the significance of the Act of Union 1707? A. It formed the United Kingdom of Great Britain by uniting England and Ireland. B. It established the Commonwealth of Nations. C. It formed the United Kingdom of Great Britain by uniting England and Scotland. D. It granted independence to the American colonies. Answer. C. It formed the United Kingdom of Great Britain by uniting England and Scotland. The Act of Union 1707 was significant as it united the parliaments and crowns of England and Scotland, forming the United Kingdom of Great Britain, and laid the foundation for a unified British Parliament at Westminster. Question 21. Discuss the impact of the Industrial Revolution on urbanization in Britain. A. It led to a decrease in urban populations as people moved to rural factories. B. It significantly increased urban populations as people moved to cities for factory work. C. It had little impact on urban populations but changed agricultural practices. D. It decreased the size of cities due to the spread of infectious diseases. Answer. B. It significantly increased urban populations as people moved to cities for factory work. The Industrial Revolution had a profound impact on urbanization in Britain, as the need for labor in factories led to a mass migration from rural areas to cities, significantly increasing urban populations. Question 22. Who was the first female Prime Minister of the UK, and what are some notable aspects of her tenure? A. Margaret Thatcher, known for her economic policies and the Falklands War. B. Theresa May, known for her Brexit negotiations. C. Angela Merkel, known for her role in the European Union. D. Elizabeth II, known for her long reign. Answer. A. Margaret Thatcher, known for her economic policies and the Falklands War. Margaret Thatcher was the first female Prime Minister of the UK, notable for her strong economic policies, including privatisation and deregulation, as well as her leadership during the Falklands War. Question 23. What was the purpose of the Corn Laws, and what led to their repeal? A. To control the import of corn and protect domestic agriculture, repealed due to widespread famine. B. To increase taxes on corn, repealed because of public protests. C. To regulate the export of corn, repealed due to international pressure. D. To maintain high grain prices, repealed following public outcry and economic pressure. Answer. D. To maintain high grain prices, repealed following public outcry and economic pressure. The Corn Laws were initially implemented to maintain high grain prices by restricting imports. They were repealed in 1846 amid economic pressure and public outcry, which was part of the broader movement towards free trade. Question 24. Describe the impact of the Great Famine on Ireland and its relationship with the UK. A. Led to significant population decline in Ireland and strained relations due to perceived inadequate support from the UK. B. resulted in economic prosperity in Ireland and strengthened relations with the UK. C. Had little impact on Ireland, but worsened relations with the UK. D. Caused political unrest in Ireland and led to immediate independence from the UK. Answer: A. Led to significant population decline in Ireland and strained relations due to perceived inadequate support from the UK. The Great Famine in the mid-19th century had a devastating impact on Ireland, leading to a massive population decline through both death and emigration, and it significantly strained relations with the UK, which was criticised for its inadequate response to the crisis. Question 25. Who was William Wilberforce, and what cause is he best known for championing? A. A British writer known for his works on democracy. B. A British scientist who made significant contributions to physics. C. A British politician known for his efforts to abolish the slave trade. D. A British general known for his military campaigns. Answer: C. A British politician known for his efforts to abolish the slave trade. William Wilberforce was a prominent British politician who is best known for his long and successful campaign against the slave trade in the British Empire, which led to the abolition of the slave trade in 1807. Question 26. Explain the terms of the Treaty of Union 1707 between Scotland and England. A. It ended military conflicts between Scotland and England. B. It established a single parliament for the two countries at Westminster. C. It created separate parliaments for Scotland and England. D. It declared Scotland as a colony of England. Answer: B. It established a single parliament for the two countries at Westminster. The Treaty of Union 1707 was a significant agreement between Scotland and England that resulted in the creation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, with a single parliament located at Westminster. Question 27. What were the main reasons for the formation of the Commonwealth of Nations? A. To establish a new military alliance. B. To facilitate trade agreements between European countries. C. To create an economic union similar to the European Union. D. To foster cooperation among nations that were formerly part of the British Empire. Answer: D. To foster cooperation among nations that were formerly part of the British Empire. The Commonwealth of Nations was formed to promote political, economic, and social cooperation among member countries, many of which were former territories of the British Empire. Question 28. How did the Reform Act 1867 differ from the Reform Act 1832? A. 1867 Act extended the vote to all men and women over the age of 21. B. 1867 Act expanded voting rights more broadly among working-class men. C. 1832 Act abolished property requirements for voting. D. 1832 Act introduced voting rights for women. Answer: B. 1867 Act expanded voting rights more broadly among working-class men. The Reform Act of 1867 built upon the changes made by the Reform Act of 1832, primarily by extending the franchise more broadly to working-class men in urban areas, whereas the 1832 Act had mainly benefited the middle class. Question 29. What was the main outcome of the English Bill of Rights in 1689? A. It declared the independence of the American colonies. B. It established the principles of regular parliaments, free elections, and freedom of speech within Parliament. C. It granted universal suffrage. D. It disbanded the monarchical system. Answer: B. It established the principles of regular parliaments, free elections, and freedom of speech within Parliament. The English Bill of Rights in 1689 laid down limits on the powers of the Crown and set out the rights of Parliament, including regular sessions, free elections, and freedom of speech in Parliament. Question 30. Describe the British involvement in the slave trade and the abolition movement. A. Britain was a minor participant in the slave trade and quickly moved to abolish it. B. Britain was heavily involved in the slave trade, but later took a leading role in the abolition movement. C. Britain was opposed to the slave trade from its inception. D. Britain's involvement in the slave trade was limited to the 19th century. Answer: B. Britain was heavily involved in the slave trade, but later took a leading role in the abolition movement. The UK was one of the largest traders of enslaved Africans during the 18th century, but later became a pioneer in the abolition movement, with the slave trade being abolished in 1807 and slavery itself in British colonies in 1833. Question 31. What was the significance of Queen Victoria's reign in terms of Britain's global influence? A. It marked a period of decline in British power. B. It was characterized by significant losses in British colonies. C. It saw the expansion of the British Empire to its height, making Britain the most powerful nation on earth. D. It focused primarily on domestic policies and ignored international affairs. Answer: C. It saw the expansion of the British Empire to its height, making Britain the most powerful nation on earth. Queen Victoria's reign, known as the Victorian era, was marked by industrial, cultural, political, scientific, and military changes within the UK, and was also the peak of the British Empire. Question 32. Discuss the role of Britain in the creation of the United Nations. A. Britain was opposed to the formation of the United Nations. B. Britain was a minor participant in the founding of the United Nations. C. Britain, along with other Allied powers, played a leading role in founding the United Nations. D. Britain joined the United Nations only after it was established. Answer: C. Britain, along with other Allied powers, played a leading role in founding the United Nations. The UK was one of the original members of the United Nations and one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, playing a significant role in its creation in 1945. Question 33. Who was involved in the Gunpowder Plot of 1605, and what was their objective? A. Robert Catesby and others, aiming to end Protestant rule by blowing up the House of Lords. B. Oliver Cromwell and his supporters, aiming to overthrow the monarchy. C. King James I and his ministers, aiming to establish absolute monarchy. D. Queen Elizabeth I and her advisers, aiming to suppress Catholicism. Answer: A. Robert Catesby and others, aiming to end Protestant rule by blowing up the House of Lords. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605 was orchestrated by a group of Catholic conspirators, including Robert Catesby, who planned to assassinate King James I and the Protestant aristocracy by blowing up the House of Lords during the state opening of Parliament. Question 34. What reforms were implemented by the Factory Acts during the 19th century? A. They mandated wage increases across all industries. B. They restricted the working hours of children and women in factories. C. They abolished child labour completely. D. They introduced private ownership of factories. Answer: B. They restricted the working hours of children and women in factories. The Factory Acts were a series of laws passed in the 19th century that aimed to improve conditions for workers in factories, notably by limiting the working hours of children and women and implementing safety measures. Question 35. Describe the significance of the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. A. It was a significant defeat for British naval forces. B. It resulted in the capture of Napoleon Bonaparte. C. It established British naval supremacy and prevented Napoleon's invasion of Britain. D. It led to the immediate end of the Napoleonic Wars. Answer C. It established British naval supremacy and prevented Napoleon's invasion of Britain. The Battle of Trafalgar was a pivotal naval engagement during the Napoleonic Wars, where the British fleet, under Admiral Lord Nelson, defeated the combined fleets of France and Spain, cementing British naval dominance. Question 36. How did the Enclosure Acts affect rural populations in Britain? A. They led to increased agricultural productivity, but displaced many small farmers. B. They decreased agricultural productivity and increased urban migration. C. They had little impact on rural populations. D. They improved living standards for rural populations without any negative effects. Answer A. They led to increased agricultural productivity, but displaced many small farmers. The Enclosure Acts, passed from the 18th to the 19th century, allowed for the consolidation of small landholdings into larger farms, increasing agricultural efficiency, but also displacing many small farmers, contributing to urban migration. Question 37. What was the significance of the Tolpuddle martyrs in the labour movement? A. They were the first to establish a trade union in Britain. B. Their arrest and transportation for forming a trade union sparked widespread protest and helped to establish the rights of workers to organise. C. They initiated the first labour strike in Britain. D. They were influential in abolishing the Corn Laws. Answer B. Their arrest and transportation for forming a trade union sparked widespread protest and helped to establish the rights of workers to organise. The Tolpuddle martyrs were a group of agricultural workers in Tolpuddle, England, who were arrested in 1834 for forming a trade union, leading to significant public outcry and eventual legal reforms benefiting labour rights. Question 38. Describe the social and economic conditions that led to the formation of the Labour Party. A. Increasing wealth disparities and the influence of socialist ideas. B. The success of conservative economic policies. C. A period of significant economic prosperity. D. The decline of the British Empire. Answer A. Increasing wealth disparities and the influence of socialist ideas. The Labour Party was formed in the early 20th century as a response to the growing class divide and the influence of socialist and Marxist ideas, aiming to represent the working class in Parliament and address their economic and social concerns. Question 39. What impact did the Boer War have on the British Empire? A. It led to significant territorial expansion in Africa. B. It resulted in the independence of Boer colonies. C. It strained resources and exposed the limitations of imperial power. D. It had little impact and was quickly forgotten. Answer C. It strained resources and exposed the limitations of imperial power. The Boer War, fought between the British Empire and Boer settlers in South Africa from 1899 to 1902, was marked by fierce guerrilla warfare and exposed the logistical and moral challenges of maintaining an empire, leading to widespread criticism and a re-evaluation of imperial policies. Question 40. Explain the role of the British monarchy during the constitutional crisis of 1936. A. The monarchy was abolished as a result of the crisis. B. King Edward VIII abdicated the throne due to his desire to marry an American divorcee. C. The monarchy successfully suppressed political dissent and maintained absolute power. D. The monarchy transitioned to a completely ceremonial role. Answer B. King Edward VIII abdicated the throne due to his desire to marry an American divorcee. The constitutional crisis of 1936, known as the abdication crisis, occurred when King Edward VIII chose to abdicate the throne to marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee, which was against the advice of the government and caused a significant constitutional and public relations issue for the monarchy. Question 41. What was the significance of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998? A. It ended the War of the Roses. B. It resolved the economic disputes between the UK and the EU. C. It marked the end of the conflict in Northern Ireland and established a power-sharing government. D. It initiated the UK's membership in the European Union. Answer. C. It marked the end of the conflict in Northern Ireland and established a power-sharing government. The Good Friday Agreement was significant as it brought an end to decades of conflict, known as the Troubles in Northern Ireland, by establishing a power-sharing government and setting a framework for peace and cooperation. Question 42. Describe Britain's economic status immediately following World War II. A. Rapid economic growth and expansion. B. Severe economic depression and high unemployment. C. Stability and prosperity similar to pre-war conditions. D. Economic decline and significant debt. Answer. D. Economic decline and significant debt. After World War II, Britain faced significant economic challenges, including substantial war debt and the need for massive reconstruction, leading to economic decline and austerity measures in the immediate post-war years. Question 43. What were the primary causes and outcomes of the Peasants' Revolt in 1381? A. Economic prosperity and increased rights for peasants. B. Harsh taxation and demands for social and economic reforms. C. The desire of peasants to overthrow the monarchy. D. Religious motivations and the establishment of a new church. Answer. B. Harsh taxation and demands for social and economic reforms. The Peasants' Revolt in 1381 was primarily caused by harsh taxation pressures and widespread economic hardship, leading peasants to demand significant social and economic reforms. Question 44. Who were the suffragettes and how did they influence women's rights in the UK? A. A political group that opposed any changes to women's rights. B. A military group that fought for women's rights during World War I. C. An activist group that campaigned vigorously for women's suffrage. D. A religious group advocating for traditional gender roles. Answer. C. An activist group that campaigned vigorously for women's suffrage. The suffragettes were a militant group of women's rights activists who played a crucial role in the fight for women's suffrage in the UK, employing direct action and civil disobedience to draw attention to their cause. Question 45. Discuss the changes in British immigration law from 1945 to 1971. A. Strict quotas on immigration from non-European countries were introduced. B. Immigration was heavily restricted, allowing only skilled workers. C. Laws were liberalised to encourage immigration from Commonwealth countries. D. There was no significant change in immigration laws. Answer. C. Laws were liberalised to encourage immigration from Commonwealth countries. Between 1945 and 1971, British immigration laws were liberalised, particularly with the British Nationality Act of 1948, which allowed citizens of Commonwealth countries easier access to the UK, reflecting the need for labour in the post-war reconstruction era. Question 46. What led to the decolonization of Africa by Britain? A. Economic prosperity in African colonies. B. Military defeats in Africa. C. Pressures such as nationalist movements within the colonies and changing international attitudes toward empire. D. A strategic decision to focus solely on European affairs. Answer. C. Pressures such as nationalist movements within the colonies and changing international attitudes toward empire. The decolonization of Africa by Britain was influenced by a variety of factors, including powerful nationalist movements within the colonies and a shift in international attitudes towards colonialism, particularly after World War II. Question 47. Explain the impact of the Thatcher government's policies on the British economy. A. They led to significant industrial growth and low unemployment. B. They resulted in economic decline and higher inflation. C. They included policies like deregulation and privatization, which transformed the economy. D. They focused primarily on agricultural reforms. Answer. C. They included policies like deregulation and privatization, which transformed the economy. The Thatcher government's economic policies, known as Thatcherism, included significant deregulation, privatization of state-owned industries, and reductions in the power of trade unions, which fundamentally transformed the British economy. Question 48. What are the implications of the Scotland Act 1998? A. It separated Scotland from the United Kingdom. B. It established the Scottish Parliament with powers over matters such as education and health. C. It limited the voting rights of Scottish citizens. D. It merged the Scottish and English parliaments. Answer. B. It established the Scottish Parliament with powers over matters such as education and health. The Scotland Act 1998 was significant as it established the Scottish Parliament, granting it devolved powers over various domestic issues, reflecting the UK's commitment to a decentralised governance structure. Question 49. How did the British handle the Suez crisis, and what were the international reactions? A. Britain gained control of the Suez Canal and was internationally supported. B. Britain intervened militarily, which was met with international backlash and a need to withdraw. C. Britain negotiated a peaceful solution but was praised internationally. D. Britain played a minor role and focused on mediation. Answer. B. Britain intervened militarily, which was met with international backlash and a need to withdraw. The British military intervention during the Suez Crisis in 1956, alongside France and Israel, aimed at regaining Western control of the Suez Canal and removing Egyptian President Nasser from power, resulted in a significant international backlash, particularly from the United States and the United Nations, forcing Britain to withdraw and marking a decline in its global influence. Question 50. What were the key factors leading to the establishment of devolved governments in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland? A. Economic disparities between the regions. B. Historical treaties and agreements. C. Cultural and political demands for greater autonomy within the UK. D. International pressure to adopt a federal system. Answer. C. Cultural and political demands for greater autonomy within the UK. The establishment of devolved governments in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland was largely driven by cultural and political demands for greater autonomy and self-governance within the United Kingdom, reflecting regional identities and aspirations. Question 51. Describe the main causes and effects of the Housing Act of 1919. A. It was aimed at improving living conditions in rural areas, leading to significant rural development. B. It addressed the urgent need for housing post-World War I, resulting in the rapid construction of public housing. C. It focused on housing finance reforms, with little impact on housing availability. D. It was a response to the Great Depression, aiming to boost the economy. Answer. B. It addressed the urgent need for housing post-World War I, resulting in the rapid construction of public housing. The Housing Act of 1919, also known as the Allison Act, was significant in addressing the dire housing shortages after World War I by providing government subsidies for the construction of public housing, leading to substantial improvements in living conditions. Question 52. What was the role of the UK in the formation of NATO? A. The UK was against the formation of NATO. B. The UK was a founding member and played a key role in its creation. C. The UK joined NATO several years after its establishment. D. The UK played a minor role in NATO's formation. Answer B. The UK was a founding member and played a key role in its creation. The United Kingdom was one of the founding members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, in 1949, playing a significant role in its formation as part of its Cold War strategy to counter Soviet influence in Europe. Question 53. How did the British educational system evolve following the Education Act of 1944? A. It established compulsory education up to the age of 16. B. It introduced university education for all citizens. C. It abolished public education. D. It focused solely on vocational training. Answer A. It established compulsory education up to the age of 16. The Education Act of 1944, also known as the Butler Act, was a landmark in the evolution of the British educational system, establishing free and compulsory secondary education for all children up to the age of 16. Question 54. Discuss the significance of the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. A. It marked the end of English territorial claims in France. B. It was a minor skirmish with little historical significance. C. It was a decisive victory for English forces during the 100 Years' War. D. It led to the establishment of the English Parliament. Answer C. It was a decisive victory for English forces during the 100 Years' War. The Battle of Agincourt in 1415 is celebrated as a major English victory against a numerically superior French army during the 100 Years' War, noted for the effectiveness of the English longbowmen. Question 55. What were the primary reasons behind the introduction of the poll tax in 1990? A. To simplify the tax system and make it more equitable. B. To increase government revenues drastically. C. To penalize lower economic classes. D. To support military spending. Answer A. To simplify the tax system and make it more equitable. The poll tax, officially known as the community charge, was introduced in 1990 with the intention of making the tax system fairer by charging every adult the same rate regardless of their income, although it proved to be highly unpopular and sparked widespread protests. Question 56. Explain the significance of the Chartist movement's People's Charter. A. It called for the abolition of the monarchy and the establishment of a republic. B. It demanded social reforms, such as the end of child labour. C. It outlined 6 demands for political reform, including universal male suffrage and annual elections. D. It was a literary document with no political implications. Answer C. It outlined 6 demands for political reform, including universal male suffrage and annual elections. The People's Charter, drafted by the Chartist movement in 1838, was significant for articulating clear demands for democratic reforms in Britain, including universal male suffrage, secret ballots, and the abolition of property qualifications for MPs. Question 57. What was the impact of the Elizabethan Poor Law of 1601? A. It led to the establishment of the British welfare state. B. It provided the legal framework for assisting the poor, creating a system of poor relief administered by local parishes. C. It abolished all forms of public assistance. D. It only focused on the poor in London. Answer B. It provided the legal framework for assisting the poor, creating a system of poor relief administered by local parishes. The Elizabethan Poor Law of 1601 was significant as it established a national system to care for the poor, mandating that each parish was responsible for its own poor, which laid the foundations for later social welfare systems. Question 58. How did the Monopolies and Mergers Commission influence British business practices? A. It encouraged the formation of monopolies. B. It dissolved all existing corporations. C. It promoted free competition by investigating and regulating monopolistic practices. D. It focused only on foreign companies operating in the UK. Answer C. It promoted free competition by investigating and regulating monopolistic practices. The Monopolies and Mergers Commission was established to ensure fair competition within the British market by investigating and regulating companies that appeared to have a monopolistic or dominant position, thus promoting healthier business practices and consumer interests. Question 59. Describe the cultural significance of the swinging 60s in Britain. A. It was a period marked by economic depression and cultural decline. B. It was characterized by a conservative backlash against earlier liberal movements. C. It saw a flourishing of British music, fashion, and art, influencing global culture. D. It focused on the revival of Victorian values. Answer C. It saw a flourishing of British music, fashion, and art, influencing global culture. The swinging 60s in Britain were culturally significant as a vibrant period marked by revolutionary changes in music, fashion, and the arts, epitomized by figures like the Beatles and fashion designer Mary Quant, which had a profound impact on global culture. Question 60. What was the impact of the discovery of penicillin by Alexander Fleming? A. It led to the immediate eradication of all infectious diseases. B. It revolutionized medicine by introducing the first true antibiotic, which treated various bacterial infections. C. It had little impact on medical practices. D. It was controversial and banned in the UK. Answer B. It revolutionized medicine by introducing the first true antibiotic, which treated various bacterial infections. The discovery of penicillin by Alexander Fleming in 1928 was a groundbreaking moment in medical history, as it led to the development of antibiotics, which have saved countless lives by effectively treating bacterial infections. Question 61. How did the Reform Act of 1832 affect voting rights in Britain? A. It extended voting rights to all men and women over the age of 21. B. It extended voting rights primarily to wealthy landowners. C. It extended voting rights to middle-class men and abolished rotten boroughs. D. It restricted voting rights to a smaller group of elite individuals. Answer C. It extended voting rights to middle-class men and abolished rotten boroughs. The Reform Act of 1832 was a significant step in the evolution of British democracy as it extended voting rights to middle-class men and addressed electoral malpractice by redistributing seats from less populated rotten boroughs to more populated industrial areas. Question 62. Describe the British government's response to the Irish potato famine. A. The government provided immediate and sufficient food aid. B. The government's response was criticised for being inadequate and slow. C. The government relocated Irish citizens to mainland Britain. D. The government denied the existence of a famine. Answer B. The government's response was criticised for being inadequate and slow. During the Irish potato famine in the mid-19th century, the British government's response was widely regarded as insufficient and slow, contributing to the severity of the famine and its lasting impact on Ireland. Question 63. What were the effects of the Railways Act of 1921 on British transportation? A. It led to the nationalisation of all British railways. B. It reduced the total number of railways by consolidating many small operators into 4 major companies. C. It privatised the railway industry. D. It banned the construction of new railway lines. Answer: B. It reduced the total number of railways by consolidating many small operators into 4 major companies. The Railways Act of 1921 significantly changed the landscape of British rail transportation by consolidating numerous small railway operators into 4 major regional companies, known as the Big Four, which helped to standardise and stabilise rail services. Question 64. Discuss the impact of the first television broadcast in Britain. A. It had minimal impact due to low ownership of televisions. B. It revolutionized media and quickly became a popular source of entertainment and information. C. It was strictly regulated and limited to educational content only. D. It led to immediate widespread protests against television. Answer: B. It revolutionized media and quickly became a popular source of entertainment and information. The first television broadcast in Britain by the BBC in 1936 marked the beginning of television as a significant medium for entertainment and information, profoundly influencing British culture and society. Question 65. What were the social and economic impacts of World War I on Britain? A. It led to economic prosperity and strengthened social cohesion. B. It caused significant economic strain and social upheaval. C. It had little impact on Britain's economy or society. D. It primarily affected Britain's colonies, not Britain itself. Answer: B. It caused significant economic strain and social upheaval. World War I had a profound impact on Britain, causing severe economic difficulties due to wartime expenditures and leading to social changes, including the role of women in the workforce and the push for social reforms. Question 66. Explain the role of the East India Company in the expansion of the British Empire. A. It served as a cultural exchange program between Britain and India. B. It was primarily a military organization tasked with defending British territories. C. It played a crucial commercial and administrative role in the establishment of British rule in India. D. It focused on exporting Indian goods to other European countries. Answer: C. It played a crucial commercial and administrative role in the establishment of British rule in India. The East India Company was instrumental in the expansion of the British Empire in India, operating not just as a trading entity, but also taking on administrative and military functions, which laid the groundwork for formal British rule. Question 67. What challenges did Britain face during the interwar period, 1918 to 1939? A. Rapid technological advancements and economic boom. B. Political stability and strong international relations. C. Economic downturns, social strife, and the threat of fascism. D. Isolation from international affairs. Answer: C. Economic downturns, social strife, and the threat of fascism. During the interwar period, Britain faced numerous challenges, including economic difficulties like the Great Depression, social unrest, and the rise of fascist ideologies, which influenced domestic and foreign policies. Question 68. Describe the changes brought by the Health and Safety at Work Act of 1974. A. It decreased regulations on workplace safety. B. It introduced comprehensive safety regulations to reduce workplace hazards and protect workers. C. It focused solely on the construction industry. D. It was limited to health professionals. Answer: B. It introduced comprehensive safety regulations to reduce workplace hazards and protect workers. The Health and Safety at Work Act of 1974 was a significant legislative measure in Britain that introduced broad and stringent regulations aimed at ensuring workplace safety across various industries, thereby reducing the risk of accidents and health issues among workers. Question 69. How did the British government address the issue of child labour during the Industrial Revolution? A. By completely ignoring the issue. B. By encouraging more children to work in factories. C. By passing laws to limit the working hours and conditions for child labour. D. By mandating that all children under 10 work in agriculture only. Answer. C. By passing laws to limit the working hours and conditions for child labour. The British government began to address the issue of child labour during the Industrial Revolution by passing several laws that limited the working hours and improved the conditions under which children could work, reflecting growing social concern over the welfare of children. Question 70. What were the major consequences of the British Nationality Act of 1948? A. It restricted immigration to the UK significantly. B. It defined and conferred citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies status. C. It abolished dual nationality. D. It was primarily focused on economic aspects rather than nationality. Answer. B. It defined and conferred citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies status. The British Nationality Act of 1948 was a pivotal law that redefined British nationality, creating the status of citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, and allowing for a common citizenship among Britain and its colonies, facilitating easier movement within the Commonwealth. Question 71. Discuss the role of Britain in the establishment of Israel. A. Britain opposed the creation of Israel. B. Britain played a neutral role without influencing the process. C. Britain supported the establishment through the Balfour Declaration and later administrative actions. D. Britain's role was limited to economic support. Answer. C. Britain supported the establishment through the Balfour Declaration and later administrative actions. Britain played a significant role in the establishment of Israel, initially through the issuance of the Balfour Declaration in 1917, which supported the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people, and later through its administrative role in Palestine under the British Mandate. Question 72. What was the impact of the Great Exhibition of 1851 on British industry? A. It led to a decline in industrial innovation. B. It showcased British industry and technology to the world, encouraging further industrial advancement. C. It had no significant impact on industry. D. It focused solely on foreign exhibits. Answer. B. It showcased British industry and technology to the world, encouraging further industrial advancement. The Great Exhibition of 1851 was a landmark event held in London's Crystal Palace, showcasing the latest in industry and technology from Britain and around the world, promoting industrial innovation and strengthening Britain's position as an industrial leader. Question 73. How did the UK's role in World War II influence its post-war economy? A. It enhanced the economy by boosting industrial production. B. It led to significant economic challenges due to wartime expenditures and damages. C. It had no impact on the economy. D. It resulted in immediate economic recovery and prosperity. Answer. B. It led to significant economic challenges due to wartime expenditures and damages. The UK's extensive involvement in World War II placed enormous strain on its economy, leading to significant financial debt and the need for widespread post-war reconstruction, influencing economic policies and conditions for many years. Question 74. What was the significance of the Battle of Waterloo in 1815? A. It resulted in a temporary truce in the Napoleonic Wars. B. It marked the final defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte by the British-led coalition. C. It led to the expansion of the British Empire in Europe. D. It had little significance in European military history. Answer. B. It marked the final defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte by the British-led coalition. The Battle of Waterloo in 1815 was a pivotal moment in European history, where a British-led coalition decisively defeated Napoleon Bonaparte, leading to his abdication and the re-establishment of peace in Europe. Question 75. Describe the purpose and outcomes of the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921. A. It aimed to strengthen military alliances between Britain and Ireland. B. It established the Irish Free State, providing Ireland with independence from the UK, but retaining the connection to the British Crown. C. It completely integrated Ireland into the United Kingdom. D. It declared war between Britain and Ireland. Answer. B. It established the Irish Free State, providing Ireland with independence from the UK, but retaining the connection to the British Crown. The Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921 was significant in that it concluded the Irish War of Independence and established the Irish Free State, which was a significant step towards full Irish independence. Question 76. What were the main issues addressed by the Education Reform Act of 1988? A. It focused on higher education reforms only. B. It introduced standardized tests and increased the autonomy of schools. C. It abolished public education in favor of private schooling. D. It decreased funding for education across the UK. Answer. B. It introduced standardized tests and increased the autonomy of schools. The Education Reform Act of 1988 was a major reform of the British educational system, introducing measures such as standardized national curriculum assessments, SETs, and granting more autonomy to schools in terms of management and control over their budgets. Question 77. Explain the significance of the Human Rights Act 1998 for the UK. A. It restricted the rights and freedoms of individuals. B. It incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into UK law, strengthening the protection of individual rights. C. It focused exclusively on economic rights. D. It was concerned solely with environmental protection. Answer. B. It incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into UK law, strengthening the protection of individual rights. The Human Rights Act 1998 was a significant piece of legislation in the UK as it incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into domestic British law, providing a clear legal framework for protecting individual rights against infringement by the state. Question 78. What challenges did the UK face during the energy crisis of the 1970s? A. Overproduction of oil. B. Minimal impact on the economy and daily life. C. Severe shortages and economic disruptions resulting from global oil supply issues. D. The discovery of excessive oil reserves. Answer. C. Severe shortages and economic disruptions resulting from global oil supply issues. During the energy crisis of the 1970s, the UK, like many other countries, faced significant challenges, including severe oil shortages and associated economic disruptions, which were triggered by Middle Eastern oil embargoes and led to widespread changes in energy policies and economic adjustments. Question 79. Describe the British response to the American Declaration of Independence. A. Immediate recognition of American independence. B. Military escalation to quickly suppress the rebellion. C. Negotiation of a peaceful resolution without conflict. D. Ignorance of the declaration and continuation of policies. Answer. B. Military escalation to quickly suppress the rebellion. Following the American Declaration of Independence in 1776, the British response involved military escalation as Britain sought to quickly suppress the rebellion and maintain control over its American colonies, leading to the prolongation of the Revolutionary War. Question 80. What are the implications of the UK's Data Protection Act? A. It imposes minimal guidelines on data usage. B. It sets out comprehensive rules for data protection and privacy, regulating how personal information is used. C. It focuses on data protection for businesses only. D. It has been repealed and is no longer in effect. Answer. B. It sets out comprehensive rules for data protection and privacy, regulating how personal information is used. The UK's Data Protection Act is crucial in regulating how personal information is handled by organisations, providing clear rules for data protection and privacy, and ensuring that personal information is used responsibly and lawfully. Question 81. How did the Glorious Revolution influence religious tolerance in Britain? A. It resulted in stricter religious persecutions. B. It decreased religious tolerance, favouring only the Church of England. C. It had no impact on religious practices or tolerance. D. It increased religious tolerance, especially with the passage of the Act of Toleration. Answer. D. It increased religious tolerance, especially with the passage of the Act of Toleration. The Glorious Revolution of 1688 not only shifted political power, but also had a significant religious impact. It led to the passage of the Act of Toleration in 1689, which granted religious freedoms to non-Anglican Protestants, marking a step forward in religious tolerance in Britain. Question 82. What were the main effects of the introduction of the British railways in the 19th century? A. It led to decreased mobility and economic stagnation. B. It had little to no impact on commerce or transportation. C. It significantly boosted economic growth and improved national connectivity. D. It primarily affected the military by providing new means of troop movements. Answer. C. It significantly boosted economic growth and improved national connectivity. The introduction of railways in Britain during the 19th century revolutionized transportation, greatly enhancing mobility for goods and people. This development significantly boosted economic growth and connectivity across the nation, facilitating the Industrial Revolution. Question 83. Discuss the significance of the UK's decision to join the European Economic Community in 1973. A. It marked a move toward isolationism and economic independence from Europe. B. It signified the UK's commitment to furthering European integration and economic cooperation. C. It had minimal impact on the UK's trade and international relations. D. It led immediately to the UK's decision to leave the European Union. Answer. B. It signified the UK's commitment to furthering European integration and economic cooperation. The UK's decision to join the European Economic Community, EC, in 1973 marked a significant shift in its foreign and economic policies, reflecting a commitment to European integration and enhanced economic cooperation, which shaped its trade and political relations in Europe for decades. Question 84. What was the cultural and economic impact of the Beatles on the UK? A. They had minimal influence on British culture and economy. B. They contributed significantly to the global influence of British music and culture and boosted the economy through the music industry. C. They led to major legislative changes in copyright laws. D. They were primarily influential in politics, with little impact on music or culture? Answer B. They contributed significantly to the global influence of British music and culture and boosted the economy through the music industry. The Beatles not only revolutionized music and influenced countless artists, but also contributed to the British invasion, greatly enhancing the global perception of British culture and contributing economically through the music industry and associated cultural exports. Question 85. How has the UK addressed issues of climate change and environmental policy in the 21st century? A. By reducing environmental regulations and focusing on fossil fuel industries. B. By taking a leading role in international climate negotiations and implementing robust domestic environmental policies. C. By ignoring international agreements on climate change. D. By focusing solely on nuclear energy as the solution to climate issues. Answer B. By taking a leading role in international climate negotiations and implementing robust domestic environmental policies. In the 21st century, the UK has been proactive in addressing climate change and environmental issues. It has played a leading role in international climate negotiations, such as the Paris Agreement, and has implemented robust domestic policies aimed at reducing carbon emissions and promoting sustainable development.